Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. My name is Nelson Etan. Good again to join with my two gentlemen this wonderful Thursday morning. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, Nelson.
You, Etoma. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You're looking fresh, man.
You know, I went to London to see the king this time around.
God save you. I thought you wanted to mention the Queen.
No.
Good to have you back, Nelson.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Let's begin quickly with the Nation newspaper this morning. First of all, there's a lot happening in the polity, like we all are aware. Yeah. And so most of the national dailies are reporting that this morning. We see right here on the Nation newspaper, federal government indicts Fubara in bombing of oil pipeline. At the top of it, we see court vacates order on Natasha. Recall process begins. Federal government injects 32.8 billion naira into basic health care. Good one right there. FCCPC explains role in consumer rights. But Etoma and Ibrahim, you know, we're seeing this now that the federal government, this is according to Latif Fagbemi, the Attorney General of the country, who came out to explain exactly the things that happened. And according to reports there, the governor was fingered into these as inciting some of these militants that, you know, were the ones directly culpable of, you know, vandalizing the pipelines. Well, I would say that we'll still be seeing more reports come out in the coming days. But if this directly is true, then it doesn't really look good on the governor, really, if that be the case.
But for me, I think the governor being involved in stuff like that, it's a complete no-no. It shouldn't be. But I think it's early days for us to start pointing fingers. Should allow time and do thorough investigation, have evidence to prove that yes, he is culpable, and then we can start talking about it.
And Ibrahim, this recall process on Senator, am I allowed to say that, on Natasha Akpoti, right?
Once a senator, always a senator, regardless.
Well, do you see that really being a success at the end of the day?
It all depends on it, because the onus is on her constituents to determine whether she is going to be recalled at the end of the day. Because some people must have initiated this move due to these issues that have come up, but we should be very careful so that we are not vindictive. If someone is making complaints about sexual harassment, we should take it very seriously. But then, if the recall process is on our conduct on the floor of the Senate, well, if it's genuine enough, if they believe that what she's done is way out of the Senate rule and then the Constitution and all of that, it's within their own prerogative to determine whether they want her to continuously represent them or not.
Or not, indeed. We wait to see exactly how this results would be, but that's how we'd have it for the nation as we make our way quickly to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And we see something right there which is a little bit worrisome to me. Dangote refinery suspends sale of petrol in Naira. It talks about doing this in dollars, and that is already raising fears and the prices at the end of the day. I hope the government and everyone involved, are in talks with Dangote to ensure that this is Naira country. So
if he decides to sell it in dollars, my first question is where? Is it here in Nigeria or somewhere
outside?
else?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it here in Nigeria? Because it is an insult to the sovereignty of Nigeria for you to sell your product in another country's currency.
Within the country.
Yeah. Tanker explosion shuts down Abuja-Kefi Expressway. When I saw this, this was really sad because a few persons have lost their lives in this explosion. Again, the federal government is all out on ensuring that tankers do not explode on Nigerian roads. I think that fight is still going on to ensure that that continues that way. EFCC arrests Bauchi Accountant General for alleged 70 billion naira fraud. I'm not liking this at all. This is a serving Accountant General, and so, wow.
What's with Accountant General, generals to be indicted in fraud and all of that. We're not saying that he's guilty. You see, the suspect is only
alleged.
It's just an allegation. So if they go to court, the court will determine. But we do not want to see where cases of being indicted, not just indicted, being guilty, found guilty of corruption, and then the next thing is to talk about plea bargain. That thing pisses me off, oftentimes, or say that, okay, you've taken this amount of money, yeah, return this. Enjoy the rest of the loot.
Tom,
that's not something we want to experience.
I don't know if you've ever walked into a room where you find ₦1 billion. Money has power.
Yeah, it will be intimidating. And the funny thing about it, you never get used to it. You might have more than that in your account, but where the cash is right in front of you, it's a different feeling.
Absolutely.
It's a different feeling.
Again, like Ibrahim said, it's an allegation until proven guilty.
Yes.
Protesters shot Ondo governor's office over killing of another 5 farmers by suspected herders. 11 bandits, 1 policeman killed in gun duel in Benue. Ondo State has consistently over the weeks now been in the news for kidnap. What in God's name is going on here?
To me, it's a wake-up call to the government of Ondo. It's pointing to the fact that, look, you guys are not taking care of your security the way you should. So it's a wake-up call. Let them beef up their security. Let them take it seriously and do everything to reduce all these kind of stories that are emanating from there.
It's not a palatable, salacious news, for us to be getting this coming from Ondo State, especially when they're having a new governor whose tenure has been be consolidated by the recent election. So we want to see, we don't want to start talking about when Rotimi Akeredolu was there, the Amotekun was very, very strong and viral in fighting, stemming the tide of insecurity. So we expect more from Governor Aiyedatiwa in collaboration with the federal government to ensure that lives and property of people, are saved.
Indeed, indeed. But that's what we'll let it off as we move quickly to this Nigeria newspaper. Again, the conversation of the emergency rule right now in Rivers State covers the header, but we see a picture story right here of President Tinubu swearing in the sole administrator, Iborete Ibas, yesterday at the Aso Villa. Wonderful right there. The man has been given his charge to go, legislate his responsibility as the administrator of Rivers State right now.
Yeah,
and we see right here, PDP land title revoked over 7.6 million naira ground rent debt. This is to the FCTA. I always wonder how monies are owed from 1, 2, 3 up onto millions, and then we're talking about 7 million right here.
Well, for now, and for the organization involved, 7-point-something million is pocket money. They should quickly.
Whilst I agree with you, but don't allow the pocket money to keep rising.
Yes, you're correct. But now that the thing has come to the fore, clear this thing and let's go on.
Expect gradual reduction in Nigeria's inflation rate in the next 6 months. This is quoting the CBN right here. Of course, we look to see that as we want more monies to be in the hands of Nigerians. That is always my concern.
Yeah, we're beginning to see, right, carry on.
Yeah, that's what we'll let it off for the paper as we move quickly to the Punch newspaper this morning. Again, the conversation on emergency rule in Rivers State, but something a bit more concerning here. Federal government deploys 10,000 troops against vandals as opposition and NLC protests. 10,000 troops, that's a whole lot.
Yeah, where there is a state of emergency.
To deal with those boys.
Absolutely. Well, not just deal with them, deal with the non-state actors, those who are enemies of the country. Because if you are attacking the lifeline of this country, whichever way, it means that you're an enemy of this state. It is not about Rivers State, it's about the nation.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons why we're having the state of emergency rule that is now holding sway in Rivers State. So we expect that, you said a little earlier that the suspended governor was indicted, in all of this, but then it's still much more of an allegation. But the reason, I guess the sense they're trying to make, the sense I can make out of that is you as the governor, the sitting governor, the elected governor of the state, are watching people or was watching people
vandalizing?
Not vandalizing, making threats, and you didn't say anything regarding that. There was an explosion that rocked the pipeline. You didn't see anything to condemn it or anything. So it's as though you are allowing that to, to thrive. And no nation, no president,
Of
no
course.
country
We
will
would
watch
sit
that,
down to see
you know,
that, yeah.
go without being attended to.
Indeed. And we see right here, Sanwo-Olu unveils new blocks of classrooms in Ikorodu. I saw that yesterday. It was quite beautiful. Again, kudos to the governor of Lagos State for doing what he has to do to keep the state running. But I think that's what we let it off for the Punch this morning as we move very quickly to the news, direct newspaper. There's a whole lot this morning, gentlemen. We're trying to cover as many grounds as possible. Attack on discos. Adelabu urges Ribadu to call armed forces to order. Great one right here. Oshun LG crisis. Let the courts decide, not calls for state of emergency. This is Oshun government tackling Bashiru. Increase your investment, facilitate technology transfer. Federal government is charging Chinese government. And again, Sanwo-Olu's commissioning of those classrooms in Kosofe, in Ikorodu. I'm hoping that Osun State finally will have some peace and rest with this local government brouhaha and let the people enjoy governance.
It always starts like that. It's like it's a laughable thing. We just use it to discuss, you know, and waste time. And then it will now escalate, and it might, God forbid, turn out to be another river state.
Well, I think the president actually sent a signal that, listen, under my watch, I will not tolerate any breakdown of law and order, whether you're governor or anything. But then whatever it is that is being done must definitely be within the confines of the provisions of the Constitution of the 1999 Federal, the Constitution of the 1999 as amended, as they put it. So, but in all of this, we expect that all governors will sit up, and then you do not torpedo or oust the elected officials.
All governors, in my view, must sit up, and so that Nigerians, we can stop sometimes at pointing accusing fingers to the federation or the center only, but also look at our state governors and the LGs. You know, again, autonomy has been given to them. So now I'm speaking on the part of delivering the dividends of democracy and why you were elected to be a governor or any other thing. You know, we need to all sit up and do our dues so that everyone in our terra farmers can enjoy themselves. Well, let's move quickly to the platform newspaper. And we see at the top of it, police kill 7 bandits, lose inspector in Benue ambush. A very sad one right here. Rotimi Amechi tackles Tinubu over emergency rule. Embrace digitization for career growth. Salisu urges youth. Well, the youth confab will soon be convened. And so we're looking to see some of those dividends, you know, show up as the confab begins. EFCC arrests Bauchi accountant. Okay, we took that a bit earlier. Now look at this. Ibokete is saying, I will work with stakeholders to restore peace in Rivers. As the federal government may release Rivers funds as emergency rule kicks in. Well, I think that would be a wonderful one.
Two things I want to say about that. Ibokete is a diplomat. And he's been a military man and has headed so many military formations in his career before he retired.
He understands what's at stake here.
Yes, so he knows the processes. And I pray that his experience works well for him while there. That is very clear. And another thing is that monies due to that state will finally get to the state. And the people of the state will be beneficiaries of that.
That is the best thing to happen. The people, the people. Fire raises over 200 rubber recycling factories in Kano, leaving millions in losses. A very sad one right there. But gentlemen, I think that's what we'll leave it for the Platform Times as we make our way quickly to the Guardian newspaper. And on the Guardian here, the Dangote story is taking center stage. This is now on economy. We're hopeful that that case of selling fuel in dollars will not be, you know, what it is. But many have feared death as a car burned, a tanker explosion rocks Abuja. And something here very important, federal government dismisses WHO report on stockout of essential HIV drugs. Again, the conversation around, you know, the availability of these drugs and other vaccines that has been coming via aid into the country, you know, has been going on. And I watched an interview yesterday on an international platform where a former AU secretary, you know, she was speaking and saying, look, African countries have what it takes to support their people, to supply the people with all it requires. And I told her line, I think we have all it takes.
Absolutely.
We just need to look inward.
Absolutely.
We need to be intentional about it to make sure we solve our problems.
That's right. That reminds me of Thomas Sankara, you know, of Burkina Faso back in the day, when he was saying that, listen, we do not need aids from these people. We can do these things ourselves. If you want to give us anything, give us the machinery of how you produce all of these things. So it should be a quid pro quo thingy that if you want to do anything, if you are gaining from us, we should be able to benefit from you. Technology transfer, not you giving us the fish.
Exactly,
you know,
more or less teach me how to fish.
You know,
don't always bring the baskets of fishes to me. I mean, the water is big enough for all of us to fish, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
After all, Jesus Christ gave us fish, you know, back in the day, and it was enough. But this time around, we want you to give us, you know, how it works.
Very important. SDP denies connection party funding by Tinubu. Okay. Shatima tasks lawmakers on food security legislation. Very important, so that everybody. Me, I want the job.
Who doesn't?
All right. But that's what we're looking for The Guardian as we make our way quickly to the Blueprint newspaper this morning. And I see right here, death toll in Kebbi meningitis outbreak rises to 56.
Not good.
At all.
It's
not
connected to the other story. And when I had the chance to comment on it, I said, we have all it takes to have laboratories to produce some of these drugs. We do. I want to commend some states in Nigeria that their response time for epidemics like this is fantastic. I want to give that to Lagos. Lagos does that very well.
Absolutely.
And it's good that federal government is deploying or dispatching 3,000 doses of vaccines.
To solve that. Troops neutralize 10 terrorists, rescue 101 kidnapped victims in Katsina and Zamfara. 101.
101 victims.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh, come on.
Sad one right there. But we see the Minister of FCT right here, you know, going about his job as the FCT Minister, inspecting roads and all of that. While the conversation about his state is still ringing.
That's right.
We wait to see the last of it. Why federal government will release Rivers allocation to administrator? Again, quoting the Attorney General. No explosion at Port Harcourt refinery, NNPC clarifies. Nigeria records 28 new Lassa fever cases and 3 deaths. We don't want to see this at all. But gentlemen, I think that's what we'll leave it for the Blueprint as we make our way quickly to our final newspaper this morning, which is the Sporting Life. You know I had to do that?
The only story I want to hear is how prepared Super Eagles is for the clash ahead of them.
Well, from all the reports that has come out thus far, it looks as though they're quite prepared. All members of the team are on ground, you know, practicing every other day to ensure that they come back with what I like to call the green card.
Oh yes, yes, it's actually the green card.
To get them in line as qualifying, you know, team.
Okay. That's right.
To be part of the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, and I think the match is Friday or something, so 21st. So one thing is we want to see Nigeria crush Rwanda. We are the giant of Africa. It should not be in question. It should not be in doubt. So we need to go there, get on the pitch, and deal decisively, you know, on the Rwanda soldiers.
You're banning the giant of Africa now in sport, isn't it?
And I've said it so many times.
I'm a patriot.
In football, there are no underdogs. Just go there and play well, play as a team, and win. That's the important
But you know that most of these players, they're always scared of facing our team, our national team. But the thing is...
Because our legs are quite big. Barca can't pay 75 million euros for Sime. Catalans one fee reduced. You know, Etoma, I've always loved the big money that comes out from football.
Yes,
it's always exciting to me.
You're always looking at the money aspect. You're not looking at what the players are doing on the pitch. You like money, Nelson.
Oh boy. But that's how much we can take on the newspaper review this segment. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for doing this with me this morning.